Hello everybody. I'm going to make a clip on this router circle cutting jig that I've made here. I was going to go out and buy one of these, but the store was closed last night by the time I got around to it. And the large one that they sell is plastic, and it was about $54 I believe, which is kind of outrageous, but I needed one. And I was going to go ahead and bite the bullet on that, but they were closed, and I started looking around my shop and looking at my router, and I determined that I've got a host of machining tools, so I made my own. So I'm just going to describe this to give you guys some ideas. Obviously if you're woodworkers, you may not have access to all the metalworking tools, but you might be able to pull something off out of wood as well. So I'm going to kind of run through the pieces here and describe it, and then I'll put it on the router and I'll show exactly how it works. And I haven't used it yet, but I think it's pretty neat, and I think it's going to work well. And I'm going to start off with the block here. This is just a piece of steel I have, a scrap, and you can see I have a hole here that's just a 3/8 diameter hole pierced through it. I have a threaded hole on the top and another one on the bottom. And what that will allow me to do is put this thumb wheel in here that I've made out of steel on my lathe. I can put it in either side, and I'll show exactly how everything works later. But I'll go ahead and put it in this side. Well, I'll show you both. I can put it in this side here, and I have this small 1/4 inch diameter pin that I made that's threaded a 1/4 inch in length, and then it has a 1/4 inch of threaded, just a pin round surface. And I put it in here, and that will allow me to drill a 1/4 inch hole and drop it down into a piece of wood, and it'll rotate around it. For the actual bar, this is actually the guide system for my router, and it's got a couple of attachments you can put on it for following an edge or whatnot. And I took out the original bolt that was in it, and I just happened to have a piece of 3/8 drill rod. If you're not familiar with that, this is just, it's a polished and ground rod that you can actually harden. This is in its tempered state. So what that will do is just screw into here, and on the other end this will slide on there, and I can lock it down at any given measurement that I deem that I want to cut. One thing I did not like about the one that I was going to purchase was it only had 1/4 inch resolution on it. So for each step you wanted to make, you could only go 1/4 of an inch. Well, if you wanted to get finer resolution or use something odd and you didn't have the right bit diameter to make it work out for you, it was going to be a hassle. So this black plate here is a piece of ultra high molecular weight plastic. I just cut it into a square. I drew 2 crosshairs across it with a box knife and scribed it, and then drilled a 1/4 inch hole in the center. And what that will allow me to do is route holeless circles. So I can put this little pin on the short side. This hole is offset. Put this in this side, put the thumb wheel in the top, basically just change it around, and I can use a double-sided tape and use the crosshairs and stick this to the work, and then this will go into that slot and ride around without having to put a hole in the center. Okay, here's a shot of it on the router installed. You can see I put the guide bar in here that came with my router, and the rod has been installed, and it goes into all of the things that I'd already noted. So this is set up here to where it would do a centerless hole circle. Stick it down and set it up. And I kind of like this because I have 2 points of adjustment here. I can either adjust directly from the rod, or I can adjust here where this original piece of my router would do it. And you can measure off the bottom pin to the outside edge or inside edge of your router bit, depending on what you're cutting. Or if you have something already laid out, in this case, you can just line of sight, and then plunge down and make your cut. As you can see, I have a long piece of rod in here. You know, I'll probably shorten this up. I don't think I need to cut anything that large in diameter. You know, as it is now, this thing will cut up to about a 6 foot in diameter circle. You know, I just haven't lopped it off yet because I don't really know. You know, I want to test it out and make sure everything's good and it's going to work before I start cutting up my stock that I might be able to use for something else. So again, you know, if you have a system like this, you know, you might be able to come up with something, you know, or buy one, either way, you know, but it actually worked out well for me. I believe I have all of about $4 in materials just by guessing on what I'd used, and most of it was in my scrap bin anyway, aside from, of course, the drill rod, which I use for other things. But just another idea. Thanks for watching, and good luck.